Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for a live edition of our 10 Weather Impact Show. Meteorologist Aaron White.
And meteorologist Michael Barron's watching the potential for storms and heavy rain as we head this afternoon.
Yeah, going to be a bit interesting. We have a 10 weather impact alert here for the potential for some heavier rainfall. Could also see a couple of those storms producing some gusty winds. So really between now and about 8 p.m. is going to be really our window here for that storm chance. And it's going to be a lot to watch here, not just today, but we are also talking about some more storms even in the forecast through tomorrow.
Yeah.
So a bit more of an active pattern, especially after a really nice day yesterday with all that sunshine.
Yeah, nice weather out there to enjoy. At least we've got some dry time this week, and we could really use a little bit more dry time because, I mean, we've had more days than not with at least portions of
seems like
Ohio
that,
and
yeah.
rain.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, those pop-up showers and storms. I know you've been tracking them a lot over the last couple of weeks with some severe thunderstorms warnings that we had back on Saturday, producing some heavy rain and some gusty winds. We saw earlier this week some heavier storms producing some flash flooding in Athens County, and likely probably going to be a concern here today. I think it's going to be really what we're focused in on with the forecast for some more heavier rainfall and leading to that potential for some flash flooding. So let's go ahead and dive into the forecast here now. We have that weather impact alert here for today, for this afternoon, this evening, as we go through about 8 p.m. is really our window, as we're already watching some storms developing on the radar just to our west. And those are going to be moving through here just in time, unfortunately, for the evening commute. 4, 5, 6 p.m. in the Columbus metro, likely to see some showers and storms moving through at that time, and then eventually starting to clear out of the area, like I said, as we get towards 8 p.m. So what we're talking about with the threat is going to be for those storms producing heavy rainfall that could lead to a flash flooding threat, as we've already seen here in some locations in the last couple of weeks. There's been those slow-moving storms dumping heavy rainfall, 1 to 3 inches in a short amount of time, and with areas that have already seen so much rain, the ground is saturated enough that any more rainfall, of course, will just not be able to soak in. It's going to run off into the creeks and streams and rivers and lead to a potential for some flash flooding and potentially even for some river flooding. So we are going to be watching that here, not just today, but even into tomorrow and even through the weekend, as we have more chances for showers and storms here in the 7-day forecast. Right now, though, here just after 2 p.m. we started off the day with a lot of a cloud cover. We had some light rain showers and even a couple storms passing through this morning. Now we got the sunshine, and that's allowing for a little bit more energy, some instability in the atmosphere to allow these showers and storms to develop just to our west. And so you can see here over the Columbus area, we have a partly cloudy sky, and temperatures are warming up. Because of that sunshine, we were in the upper 70s around noon. Now we're up to 83 degrees, but you factor in that humidity, we have a temperature of 83, but it actually feels like 88 because it is rather humid. Our dew point temperatures are up there into the 70s, so that combination is making it feel a lot warmer. Now, as we look at our current temperatures here across central Ohio, we got lower to mid 80s. We have a few areas that are cooler here up around Mansfield and Bucyrus, where we've had some rain showers passing through, so temperatures are in the 70s there. They'll likely pop back up to the 80s here still this afternoon once we get that sunshine. Meanwhile, some other areas around Jackson, 88 degrees. So we have some pretty warm temperatures. We got enough warmth, we got enough energy, and that's going to allow for that chance for those storms to really kind of build up here over the course of the next couple of hours. So dew point temperatures are also up there in the lower to mid 70s, just making it feel a lot warmer here across central Ohio. And again, that's going to be the concern as we got those storms developing now, and could lead to a potential for a few stronger thunderstorms here in the next several hours. So here's a look at the live radar picture. Not much activity around Columbus. There are some storms to our east, now east of Cambridge, and more storms back to the west here, just near and south of Dayton. This is our activity here for this afternoon. Going to continue to watch this develop over the next couple of hours here. We're just after 2 p.m. So by 4 o'clock, a lot of this is going to be moving into the Columbus metro. And notice so far, we're not seeing a lot of strong activity. There are a few lightning strikes here with a few of the cells there east of Dayton, and another couple of lightning strikes there showing up just south and west of town. all of this is moving to the north and east. So while it's developing here in southwestern Ohio, notice the trend over the last few hours. We're getting more development, and that's going to continue to bring it towards the Columbus metro here into central Ohio after about 3 p.m., maybe as early as 3 for a few locations, even getting closer to the southwestern metro. But likely 3, 4, 5, and 6 o'clock, we're going to see really this whole area expand in coverage with those showers and storms that could lead to, again, some potential for flash flooding. What we're also watching for is the risk for any severe weather. Now, I will say the risk area is low. It does cover a large part of the region, actually the entire state of Ohio, under a low end potential for a few severe thunderstorms. So when we're talking about just a couple of the storms producing severe wind gusts, again, it's not going to be a widespread. So we could have a severe storm in the southern part of the state. We could have a severe storm in the northern part of the state, and then central Ohio, maybe not as much for severe weather. But it is still a concern. We are going to be watching for any storm that can get just strong enough to produce some high winds gusting up to near 60 miles per hour. That's going to be the biggest concern for any type of severe weather. But I think the higher threat, higher than that, is of course heavy downpours, especially during the evening commute here in Columbus, and also heavier rainfall across areas near and south of I-70 that have already seen a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks, where the ground is already saturated. More rainfall leading to a flash flooding concern and getting some ponding on the roadways. That's also going to be a concern here through this evening. So as we talk about our impacts, again, medium threat for flooding, medium threat for strong winds as well. But I do think the flooding threat may be just a little higher than that overall wind potential. There will still be some wind with these showers and storms, but maybe just not strong enough that they're going to produce any damage. But it is something we're watching here for this evening as we are tracking those showers and storms. So let's go through the hour-by-hour forecast here. Here at 2 p.m., we have that activity developing again around Dayton. By 3 p.m., it gets a little bit closer, starting to get closer to the Columbus metro. Likely some rain around London, likely some rain at Washington Courthouse, and also back to the west around Springfield and Dayton. And then here we go. By 4 p.m., we're starting to see this building into the Columbus metro. So here we are at 4, showers and storms around Columbus. Still more activity back to the south and west. And notice we're starting to see a little bit more red. So that could be an indication that the storms are going to be getting stronger here during the 3, 4, maybe even 5 o'clock hour, leading to those heavier downpours and that potential for gusty winds. And still, even here by 6 p.m., possible showers and storms moving through near and now more east of Columbus. So getting closer to areas along and east of I-71 after about 6 p.m. is going to be the better window for that. And then as we head later into this evening, like I mentioned earlier, the timeline really from now through 8 p.m. So here we are 8 p.m. Most of the storms that would bring that threat for heavier rainfall and gusty winds really moving out of central Ohio, getting closer to the northern part of West Virginia and into western PA. So our timeline really is now through 8 p.m. and I would argue maybe even earlier than that, maybe as early as 7 p.m. A lot of this moving away from central Ohio. So we have at least a few hours where we're going to be seeing that potential for heavy rainfall, and then that all clears out. We'll get a break in the activity here through tonight and through tomorrow morning, likely seeing some more clouds developing here by noontime tomorrow. And then watch what happens as we get later into the afternoon and for the evening. We start to see some more showers and storms, especially near and south of Interstate 70. Again, areas that are going to be seeing some more heavier rainfall today and that have already seen it. So I think areas near and south of I-70, that would be the risk area for any potential flash flooding, especially where we've already seen it. Athens County, we saw it just a couple of days ago. We'll have to watch that here. So if you live in Athens County, just be advised that we will be watching for any more heavy rainfall moving through the area that could lead to some more potential for flash flooding, because our computer projections are showing here through tomorrow, through today and tomorrow with the rainfall, that we could be talking about rainfall amounts anywhere from 1 to 2 inches for areas near and south of I-70. And if it all falls in a short amount of time, of course, that's going to lead to that flash flooding concern. And it's not just today and tomorrow that we're talking about rainfall chances. We actually see them drop off here for Friday. Still keeping it at about 20% chance for an isolated shower storm, especially during the morning hours of Friday. But then we look ahead to the weekend, and right now we're seeing that at about 40% chance here for Saturday and Sunday. And the question that remains is there's a little bit of uncertainty between the computer projections on whether or not we're going to have a little bit more activity on Saturday or if it's going to be more on Sunday. So we're keeping the chance here for both days, but I do want to emphasize that the weekend is not going to be a total washout. So don't worry about that. Don't cancel any of your outdoor plans. Temperatures will be up in the 80s. There will be the chance here on both Saturday and Sunday, but you will still have time where you can enjoy getting outside, going to the pool. There likely will be some sunshine. It's going to be that chance that we'll have to watch here as we head into your Saturday and Sunday. And then those chances drop off as we look ahead to Monday. So some showers and storms early on. Temperature down to 73 here for tonight. So it's going to be on the warm side. And then more scattered showers and storms in the forecast here for tomorrow. But those temperatures getting up there, 88 degrees for a high temperature. And then we actually cool off a little bit here for the end of the week here on Friday. Cloudy skies for most of the day, probably going to keep us slightly cooler. It's still warm, don't get me wrong. 82 degrees is still warm. We are going to be watching that here for the end of the week here on Friday. And then as we head into the weekend, getting a little static right now. There we go. 84 degrees here on Saturday, 85 on Sunday. Again, there's that 40% chance that we could see a couple scattered showers or storms here through the weekend. Not a washout, but then as we head towards Monday and Tuesday, high temperatures do return to the mid to upper 80s here, especially as we look ahead to Monday. We got sunshine, high temperature around 86 degrees, and then we got 87 as we look ahead to Tuesday. So temperatures are on the rebound here for next week, and I know it's after the 7-day forecast, but looking ahead to the middle to end of next week, it does appear like we could be talking about temperatures back to 90, so maybe a little bit more of that heat building back in here as we get later into July. But for right now, the focus, of course, is going to be on the weather impact alert that we have here for today with the heavy rain, the gusty winds, and then watching that chance for some more storms here tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we really had enough rain potential, cloud cover, et cetera, to keep us out of the mid to low 90s most of these days.
Yeah.
And I mean, so long as we can get those afternoon storms in, it kind of cuts us off in the peak heating of the day. But of course, that same heat also fuels some of these storms.
Yep, and we've seen that on multiple days. You get up to about 88 degrees, and all of a sudden you get a nice storm building up, and it gets strong enough that I know you've dealt with this here the last couple of weeks where you get a severe thunderstorm warning issued. It's strong enough. It's producing some high wind gusts. We saw that, of course, back on Saturday. We had some power outages. That also would be a concern here with some of the lightning that we get here today. So we're watching a lot of things happening with those storm chances, and then hopefully we'll get a couple nice days in there too. We need that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We need some nice weather because this pattern here in Columbus with the heat, the humidity, the rain, it's been making people really want to stay inside. But did you know it could also impact your appetite?
Interesting. Okay, I buy that. Yeah.
A registered dietitian with the Cleveland Clinic says that digesting food and stockpiling its nutrients uses energy, which generates heat. And if your body is already hot, it may not want any more of that excess heat. Health officials say digestion can slow down when you're dehydrated as well, so make sure you're drinking plenty of water.
Even focusing on hydrating foods can be very helpful, like watermelon and lettuce and celery and cucumbers, cherries and citrus fruits and strawberries. So all of those foods can be very hydrating, in addition to, of course, increasing your fluid intake.
Yeah, and even if you're not as hungry, health officials say that you should still be eating a balanced diet. They recommend choosing foods that are as nutrient dense as possible, like fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. Can I just say, like, watching that video made me hungry?
I was gonna say, I never really thought about the heat impacting my appetite, but I agree. If I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm not really looking to have a big meal at that point.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, or maybe like a little snack or something here and there. And I feel like your body, you're burning a little bit more calories when it's hotter. So maybe it just triggers, I don't know. Get a little bit more food in, So
we're going to eat definitely some of those fruits and vegetables, something cold.
Oh, some strawberries sounds good.
Oh, some green peppers, man.
Ooh,
that's where I'm at.
Good too. My favorite thing, though, I will say, sweet corn in the summertime.
Yeah.
All about that.
Oh, yeah. All the good cookout sites.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the weather's not all just warm and nice outside. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of that this year, but it's been an active year for flooding. We've seen it across really the entire country.
Really, yeah. Especially, we've had some flooding here locally, of course, but the Texas flooding has just been awful. And it's, we had the flooding, of course, a couple weeks ago with all the river flooding on the Guadalupe River, and then they got even more rain, unfortunately. So it's been a wild year.
Yeah, wild year for sure. And those flood alerts around the U.S. as of July 14th, more than 3,000 flood warnings have been issued for the year, according to the National Weather Service. That's the highest number through the same period going back to 1986, which is when they started keeping track of those warnings. Roughly 170 were issued on Sunday and Monday. Officials at the NWS say that flash flood emergencies were considered life-threatening, and some of those that were issued are also noticeably higher this year compared to 2024. And some unfortunate news there.
Yeah, and I know parts of the Northeast were actually battered by floods, flash floods earlier this week, with parts of the South now bracing for similar weather. At least 2 people were killed in the floods in New Jersey, and New York City actually saw its rainiest July 14th on record. And as the East Coast braces for more rain, the West Coast dealing with some of that sweltering heat and wildfires. Jen Sullivan in New York tracking the extreme weather that's hitting the coast to coast and impacting travel around the country.
Heavy rains pounding parts of the Northeast Monday night, crippling travel for millions. Drivers in New York City dodging flooded roadways as more than 2 inches of rain fell in an hour. Rushing waters pouring into subway cars. Water spewing from tunnels underground at this subway station in Midtown Manhattan. Emergency crews rescuing this driver whose car got stuck in knee-deep water.
Let's pull over.
A state of emergency was declared in New Jersey Monday night.
I couldn't get in my car last night because it was flooded out.
Cars left covered in mud from all the rain.
I've seen water gushing out of the roadways. I've never experienced that, almost like a geyser.
Governor Phil Murphy assessing the damage Tuesday.
This clearly was a significant weather event.
One of the hardest hit areas was in Plainfield, where rainfall totals reached 3 to 5 inches. One home exploded due to an apparent gas leak. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
We're seeing more of this, and the intensity is more frequent and more intensity.
The storms temporarily halting air travel in parts of the tri-state area, which is home to some of the busiest airports in the country. The threat of more scattered storms and heavy rain stretching across the mid-Atlantic and South Tuesday. Meanwhile, out west, people are dealing with sweltering heat and wildfire threats. The iconic red rocks of the Grand Canyon blanketed in smoke as firefighters battle nearby flames. The dry, hot conditions combined with wind increasing the threat for possible fires. In New York, I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And now to more on that flooding out of Texas. These were scenes from the Nueces River near Camp Wood, Texas on Tuesday as more high waters and flood warnings were underway. Water rescues also taking place around the region for some of those who got trapped by those waters. Just yet another scene of the impacts that these floods have been continuing to cause this year. And as we continue to see scenes of damage and destruction, we're also wanting to highlight those giving back to help people recover. Roxy Van Rooten reports from our sister station, KENS 5 in San Antonio.
This is my signature item. And you guys are going to eat before we leave.
John Meyer didn't plan to be here this week. His food truck, the Best Little Food House in Texas, was supposed to be parked in Rockport for vacation.
I was talking to my wife and I'm like, what are we going to do with all this food? And I said to her, well, let's pray about it. Let's see what we can do with this food. And the Lord put in my heart to come over here and start feeding people.
They've served 800 meals so far, and they're not done yet.
We're hoping to do at least 1,000 meals today.
He says this is the most fulfilling work he's done in his life.
I've done everything from Super Bowls to World Series to, Olympics, I've done it. But nothing fills my heart than giving.
Volunteers from across Texas have joined in to help.
This is a perfect example of when the body of Christ comes together. Brothers and sisters in Christ coming together to do God's work.
To the first responders that are out there, we're praying for you. We lift you up. We thank you for rushing in when people are rushing out.
And we're going to keep going until, like I said, till the light turns off.
Roxy Van Bruden, KENS 5.
And if you would like to help those impacted by the historic floods in Texas, visit cbsnews.com/help-Texas for more information on ways that you can safely donate to the relief efforts currently underway.
And let's turn our attention now to the tropics. And Michael, you know, we've been watching this here for the last couple of days. A little bit of activity brewing in the Gulf this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's so far this year really been kind of a quiet tropical season. We've had a few named storms, but none that have caused major impacts. And this one, I wouldn't say it has potential to become a major event, but it's probably one of the ones that could actually impact some people.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the trend right now, maybe a little bit of a heavier rainfall. And, you know, we've been talking about that flooding concern that's already happening in a lot of places, and maybe that's the case here again.
Yeah, unfortunately, many places don't need any more heavy rain. So let's go ahead and dive into the latest on the tropics there. This activity already pretty much right up against the coast here on the Gulf. This system riding off the Florida Panhandle, working its way down along the coast by Louisiana. This carrying about a 40% likelihood of turning into a named tropical system, both over the next 2 to 7 days. So less likely than not in terms of turning into a system out there. So we're, again, going to be keeping a close eye on it, but even if it doesn't pick up a name, it still could impact the coast with those rainfall conditions down to the south. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here. Lots of cloud activity building up along the Gulf Coast this afternoon, but none of it particularly organized. There's no real defined eye, no real defined center to any of this activity, and we're fairly far north. Not to say that we can't get tropical systems forming here, but you start to encounter more wind shear the further north you get, and that makes it harder for us to get those tropical systems to come together. Regardless, though, plenty of rain with any of that Gulf moisture feeding it, and you can see lots of shower and storm activity just offshore this afternoon. Some of that spilling into Florida, not particularly connected to the area we're concerned about, but then again, we'll have to see where this goes over the next week and if it does turn into something a little more serious. But like you said, regardless, it will likely be a rainmaker down there on the coast. As far as the season so far, we have had a few named storms. Andrea, Barry, and Chantel all in tropical storm status. The next one up would be Dexter. We're not too far down the list of names so far yet this season, but of course, we're also not too far into hurricane season, so there's still plenty of time to go for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully we stay on this less active note, though the official forecast is for a little bit more active season than average.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. I know we've had some pretty active years in the past. More recently, 2020, when we actually got into the Greek alphabet, and, you know, had a lot of serious active weather then, and of course back in 2022 with some more of those major hurricanes that caused some devastation. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But of course we'll be tracking here on 10 TV if we get any of those hurricanes that actually could bring some rainfall. It does happen occasionally here to Ohio once they dissipate and still produce that heavy rainfall.
I say last year Helene was a big impact to us here in central Ohio, and I mean we saw I think it was a Friday night football. Like a lot of those games got soaked because just heavy rain came through. We had some tornadic warning storms. I don't think we ever actually got any confirmation of a tornado, but we can get impacted from the tropical systems here in Ohio.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll be watching that, of course, and you know, we're of course watching the storms this afternoon. Already seeing the radar kind of heating up right now. I've been watching those storms developing there around Dayton, getting a little bit closer. So I think they'll be here getting into the Columbus metro closer to about 3:30. So watching that. But finally today, let's also check out some cool video here. This is actually a volcano that erupted in southwest Iceland back on Wednesday, July 16th, just allowing a lot of smoke, and it flows glowing hot yellow and orange lava. And the latest in the series of outbreaks near the capital, and in recent years often referred to as the land of ice and fire, the North Atlantic island nation with many glaciers and volcanoes has now experienced a dozen eruptions since geological systems on its peninsula there on the western part of the Iceland island actually back reactivated in 2021. So some of the magma forcing through the Earth's crust, opening up massive fissures of the length between 700 meters and 1,000 meters. And the meteorological office with Iceland said that this is the first signs that the eruption is giving scant warning. Just kind of really wild. And actually, I was actually in Iceland back in November, and we were kind of touring around and everything. And it was 1 week before there was one of these fissures that opened up and actually caused the famous the Blue Lagoon. People go there for the natural spa, and actually closed because lava was actually in the parking lot.
Wow.
Back, and it was kind of crazy because it was 1 week since we were there, and just wild to see what actually happens on that island, from the volcanoes to the glaciers, and just like I said, the land of ice and fire. It really holds true there in Iceland.
This picture here, the visuals with this eruption, they're just almost unreal. I mean, the lava almost looks like a special effect versus
really
like
does.
Something in reality.
Yeah, especially when you see that, it's like going up like that. It's just wild.
And to think this is over a half-mile long
Yeah.
at times, just so much lava. And I guess the scariest part is they said scant warning with this eruption. So you might not never know where these might pop up.
Yeah, which is very unfortunate. And I'm sure people living around that area at least have maybe some idea. At least maybe there's an earthquake or some sort of shaking before it happens, but still kind of scary to think about. There's little to no warning before it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And some other video to show you this afternoon. Check this out. This was the moment a fire tornado formed over the Deer Creek fire in Utah. This was
wild
on the 12th.
Yeah,
crazy video there. No one was hurt during this phenomena, but the BLM fire engine sustained damage, according to the INCIWEB. As of yesterday, the Deer Creek fire had burnt over 12,900 acres with 7% perimeter containment, according to that agency. That is just a wild video there.
Yeah, just incredible. I saw this on social media and stuff, and a lot of different videos just showing, just because you can see the spin, the rotation with that fire tornado, and just incredible. And it does happen a lot of times when we get those fires. You more so don't really see something like this with the smoke actually rotating around the circulation.
You usually see like those small like whirlwinds, like real tight fire tornadoes.
Yeah.
This is like a fire EF2 going on here.
Really, it has. I don't feel like I've never seen something quite like this. Again, like you mentioned, those little actually fire whirls where it's all fire, but not the actual smoke rotating around. That's incredible video, just very dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like it's moving away from the fire, like it's gaining a life of its own.
Yeah, it really does. So
crazy video.
Wild stuff. But yeah, we're watching a lot of things here, of course, here in the 10 Weather Impact Center. Of course, we're watching the showers and storms right now on the radar picture. Can we take a look at the radar one more time? If we can take a look at Weather 1 here really quickly before we go here, just showing some of those showers and storms that are currently developing. You can see south and west of the Columbus Metro right now, starting to get their act together just a little bit more here, and really not seeing any potential for severe weather right now. But we are watching this here for the next several hours as they start to move in. Right now, getting closer to Washington Courthouse, likely getting some light to moderate rain, at least on the west side. Some more of the heavier storms there between Dayton and Washington Courthouse. These are all moving to the north and east, so they will be moving to the Columbus Metro and surrounding areas here in central Ohio over the course of the next few hours. So we'll be tracking that for you here on 10 TV Plus and of course on 10 TV. And coming up later on here in just about an hour and a half, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Marks will be in here for the 4 o'clock news to talk about the latest on the storms. And until then, you can catch more news and weather, of course, online at 10tv.com. Have a good afternoon.
See you.